We're on the phone today with actor Thomas Ian Nicholas. You might remember him from the American Pie films, also a Rookie of the Year. He's also got a pretty successful music career and a new single out. It's called 1999. Thomas, how's it going today?
Good. How about yourself, Dustin?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm a fan of Minnesota, so glad to be on your show.
Excellent. Yeah, and you've got a lot of stuff happening in your world, and your new single, 1999. Can you tell the listeners a bit about the new song?
Yeah, the new song, 1999, is a parody of Soup's big hit single that they wrote with SR-71 called 1985. Though I might be the only person that does a parody of it with the full support of the band, because Bowling for Soup is actually the band behind me on the track, and Jarrett Reddick, the lead singer of Bowling for Soup, is singing the backups and the harmonies in the track.
That's awesome. Yeah, and of course, those guys had something to do with the American Pie soundtrack, and I know you've worked with them before, so it's great that you were able to get those guys back.
You know, it's crazy. I thought for sure they had as well. Jarrett and I met last December for his movie podcast, and we were watching American Pie, and they brought back all the feels, and that's what sparked this whole idea. For some reason, Bowling for Soup never had a song on the soundtrack of American Pie. So I got to make sure that I change that if we ever do American Pie 5, and make sure that Bowling for Soup is on that soundtrack. But Jarrett and I didn't meet, but worked together on the same project. We were both on the Blues Traveler Blow Up the Moon album that came out in 2015. But so weird that, we wouldn't meet until 2021.
And I know, Thomas, you got a new album coming out as well. What can we expect from the new album? Will it be kind of in the vein of 1999, or is there maybe something else the fans will be surprised by?
All my stuff, that because I started playing music in the 90s, everything I do sounds like 90s, which, there was a time period where that wasn't good, but now it's good again. And so I'm going to be collaborating with a lot of amazing artists and people that I've made friends with over the years. So I've written a brand new song with Jarrett Reddick of Bowling for Soup. I've got one song that I've written with Ace Enders from the early November. I'm going to be writing with Lit and Plain White Tees, and who knows who else? Maybe The Dangerous Summer. So there might be some a little bit more on the emo side, especially with Early November and Dangerous Summer.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know you're on tour now as well, and that's great. Things are starting to slowly kind of get back to normal as far as live shows go, and people can go out and enjoy things this summer.
Yeah, I remember I played a show in Minnesota in 2019, I think it was, and I was planning on coming back, let me make this a new sort of stop and come back every year, and obviously it wasn't able to in the years following. But I do have friends in Stillwater and have been doing stuff in Minnesota for years. So,
okay.
As I mentioned earlier, I do love Minnesota.
And I know you're still acting as well. A lot of people know you from acting, but you've been making music a long time as well. That's awesome. You've been able to have success in both careers and keep them both going at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild juggling balance to keep both going, but it's so far so good. Especially with the producing films, I can kind of control my schedule a little bit more as an actor if I'm my own boss. Now it just makes me sound like I'm crazy. But my last film, Adverse, that I produced, that Lionsgate put in theaters last year, getting to go to head-to-head with Mickey Rourke, because who else would run a dangerous crime syndicate besides Mickey Rourke, right?
Yeah, that movie was well received. It's got to be great to have in Mickey Rourke, and I know Sean Astin was in that film. And it's awesome that you're still able to be involved in acting at a high level too.
I'm very, very grateful for all the opportunities that I have. I love to work because I love it. It doesn't really feel like work, so I spend a lot of time doing it and try to make sure I don't do too much, so I have some time for my kids. Although my son is following in my footsteps and recently starred in the new the latest M. Night Shyamalan movie called Old that came out in theaters last year. And he also has a small part in Adverse, so I'm pretty proud of his endeavors.
Yeah, you obviously started out pretty young yourself, and I wanted to ask you your memories of working on the film Rookie of the Year. You know, working with Gary Busey and John Candy and Daniel Stern. That had to have been pretty awesome as a kid.
Oh, it was amazing. But I tried to, whenever I talk about Rookie of the Year, introduce my character properly by saying, and row, and Rowengartner.
I'm sure you probably would have never imagined, as most people didn't, when you were making that film, eventually the Cubs actually would win the World Series. So it kind of worked out.
They took away my big joke. I mean, I'm thankful that they did, but my big joke for a long time was, in the everything after '93 for 10 plus years, I was like, I was the last time the Cubs won the World Series, and they would look at me strange because they'd be thinking 1908. And I would be like, no, 1993, and then they would laugh. They'd realize I'm referencing the film. But I can't say that anymore because they took the series in 2016, thankfully.
Yeah. Well, of course, you had the American Pie films, as we mentioned. You and I are around the same age. I think it's funny. American Pie sort of brought back the sex comedy genre, like all those films in the 80s, that we weren't supposed to be watching when we were kids.
Right. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think how many things I saw when I was a kid that I shouldn't have. And now, keep a tight rein on my kids. And people often ask me, hey, when are you going to show your kids American Pie? And I said, never. They've seen Rookie of the Year, and they've seen A Kid in King Arthur's Court. I keep it in the family-friendly zone.
And eventually, I know you weren't very old when you did American Pie, but you mentioned your son is into acting now, and do you think that's kind of going to be his thing as well, going to kind of carry on the family legacy?
I mean, considering he's already, starring in a film that, did $50 million in the box office released by Universal, I'd say he's off to a pretty good start. And he's probably, in my opinion, and I'm not just being biased because he's my kid, I can really look at, put my producer hat on and see that he has a lot more natural talent and good instincts at his age, better than I did. And I'm just trying to help him hone those skills, in utilizing my 36 years of experience to do so. And he's definitely interested in it, and it's something where I'm trying not to push him too hard. When he gets considered for a job, he's asking me about it every week. Did you hear anything, Dad? Did my agent call? Am I going to go do that job?
It's awesome. Everything's going so well. And, as a dad, you got to be real proud of that. And again, the new single, 1999, is out. You got the tour, the new album coming up. That's quite a bit. Is there anything else maybe in the works we should be looking out for?
Yeah, there's a couple of projects I've got on the burner, so to speak. A couple of feature films, potentially delving into producing some television content. So, there's a lot of things on the fire, so to speak. But again, I'm very, very grateful and just going with the flow. But yeah, you can check out 1999. It's playing everywhere on streaming services, and we're getting some airplay on radio stations as well. And you can just search Thomas Nicholas Band online, or you can check out any of my socials. There's a fun TikTok video that I did with the band with Bowling for Soup recently. So if you check at Tin Band, TIN Band, you can find some of that fun content online.
Awesome, man. Again, thank you so much for your time. The new song is great, and hopefully we can see you around Minnesota here soon.
Thank you so much.
And again, that was Thomas Ian Nicholas and his new single from his upcoming album, 1999, is available now.